Hello everyone, my name is Jason Ngajai and I have been given another science assessment, meaning I am back with another educational video. But this is going to be quite different from the others. Why? Because this assessment is actually much bigger than the other ones that I have made. How big, you ask? Well, pray for me. Anyway, since I have to cover so many things within the next 5 weeks, I have decided to make this into a series. That's right, folks. As the title suggests, this is episode 1 of Genetic Disorders and Inheritance. Episode 1 out of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes. Man, I'm just not gonna sleep. Before we start, I do apologize if these episodes might not have as much editing and jokes like my other educational videos because, you know, I actually have to get these done.
Well, duh.
Editing is quite a time-consuming thing for me, and as you know, there's a lot to go through, and I don't have much time, especially with all my other school homework. Also, one more thing, please keep in mind that I'm learning this content with you. So, I apologize in advance if I make a mistake, and sorry if my explanations sound like Google definitions.
So I knew I was dealing with a professional.
Anyways, let's get straight into it. Our first topic for this episode is the cell. No, not that cell. Okay, so let's see what's first on the checklist. Identify the needs and requirements of a human cell. Should be easy. Well, there you go. The cell needs a lot of things to survive, and those things are actually what you need to survive, like food, water, and most importantly, energy. In fact, the reason why we eat food and drink water is so that our cells can replenish energy and conduct the basic task our body needs to survive. So how does that work exactly? Well, to find out, we'll first need to take a closer look at the organelles of the cell, starting with the nucleus. Usually located in the center of the cell, the nucleus acts like a command center which has two main functions. The first is that it stores the cell's information, which is basically the DNA of the cell. It also coordinates the cell's activity, meaning that it's the main organelle that's in charge of what other organelles do so that everything in the cell performs the right task. Think of it like the CEO of a factory. Next on the list is the nucleolus, which is located right over there in the center of the nucleus. Its main function is to simply produce ribosomes and then transport them to the cytoplasm where the ribosomes do their work. The nucleolus is made out of proteins, and it is basically the place where RNA is stored and produced. Now I know what some of you may be thinking. Jason, what's a ribosome? Jason, what's RNA? Wait, Jason, are you saying the nucleolus is made out of muscles? Shut up. Be patient. I'll explain everything in due time. So shut up!
Nucleolus means little nucleus. In a lot of ways, the nucleus is like the human brain, the most important part of you. The human brain is the organ that allows you to walk, talk, joke with your friends, and so much more by sending signals to different parts of your body. The relationship between the nucleolus and the nucleus is similar to the one shared by the human brain and the body. The nucleolus tells the nucleus what to do. In turn, the nucleus tells the cell what to do.
So before I mention RNA, which sounds very similar to DNA, doesn't it? So what's the difference between the two, besides the fact that one of them is with an R and the other one's with a D? Well, I actually read a really good analogy somewhere on the internet, so you know it's true. So it says here, DNA is like a book that holds information where RNA is like the person who reads the book and helps carry the instructions of that book. Just to let you know. Anyways, next organelle on the list is ribosome. Now, to see ribosomes, let's first zoom in on that photo. Do not be mistaken, ribosomes are not that blue thing you see on that diagram. You know those red dots? Those tiny red dots you see? Yeah, those are ribosomes. And their function is pretty straightforward. They are simply responsible for producing protein. Think of them as factory workers. Now I know what you're thinking. Jason, are you telling me we have actual cell structures that produce protein for us? Then how come my body doesn't look like...
I love protein. I love protein too.
We know you love protein. Protein rocks.
Awesome. Protein rocks.
Protein.
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 Protein. Somebody give this man some protein!
Okay, so 80% of a muscle is made purely out of proteins, which is why most people just think of muscles every time they hear the word protein. But I'm here to tell you, protein doesn't always mean muscles. In fact, every cell in your body contains protein. The structure of a protein is a string of amino acids, and protein are actually used for a lot of things. Just type in Google and you find a lot of things that proteins are needed for, like helping your body repair cells and make new ones. Protein is also important for growth and development. And as I mentioned before, the nucleolus is made out of protein. And there's so much more.
Proteins are kind of a big deal. They do all kinds of things. Proteins are involved in transport, in structure, in acting as enzymes that make all kinds of materials, in protecting the body, and so much more.
Proteins. They are basically required for every function in the human body. Yeah, they're pretty important. Next is the Golgi apparatus. Okay, so I'm gonna copy and paste. There we go. The Golgi apparatus. The job of the Golgi apparatus is to process and bundle micromolecules as they assemble into cells. Okay, I should probably break that down for you. I am the teacher after all. Okay, anyways, let's say that again. The job of the Golgi apparatus... By the way, guys, another word for this organelle is Golgi body, which is much more simpler, in my opinion. Anyways, where was that? Okay, the job of the Golgi body is to process and bundle macromolecules. Am I saying that right? Anyways, so macromolecules, they are basically very large molecules. So an example would be in like protein or lipids, is to process and bundle macromolecules like protein and lipids as they synthesize. Synthesize essentially means to create within the cell. It also packages the protein and sends them off. Think of it like the shipping department in a factory. Next is the endoplasmic reticulum, or more specifically, the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum can be abbreviated to just RER. On its surface, you can see rows of knobs, which you should recognize as ribosomes. Basically, the RER is where the ribosomes are located. So obviously the RER, it plays a central role in synthesizing proteins. Think of it like the assembly line in a factory. Next on the list is the mitochondria. Wait, mitochondria? Mitochondria, yeah, sorry. Overall, the mitochondria... I don't think I'm saying that right.
Mitochondria.
They're basically like the powerhouse of the cell. It's basically the place where cellular respiration takes place. That word. There's the formula, just in case you don't know, but let me take you through exactly what the mitochondria does. So the formula starts with glucose, which is basically sugar that we get from our diet. And then there's oxygen, which we get from our lungs, from our breathing.
Whoa. Nah, I never knew that.
So the mitochondria's function basically takes glucose and oxygen and turns them into three things. There's carbon dioxide, as I explained in my carbon cycle video, humans breathe in oxygen and breathe out oxygen. Second is water, so it's like when we start sweating, but actually it's mostly our urine. But the most important thing is ATP, which is basically energy. Basically the energy that our cell needs to perform its different tasks. If we didn't have energy, we humans wouldn't be able to do work. Our organelles are the same in that matter, as in without energy they can't perform any of their functions. Think of the mitochondria as the local power plant of a factory. Next is the plasma membrane. The function of the plasma membrane. By the way, another word for plasma membrane is cell membrane, which is what I personally prefer to call it. It's quite simple. The function is quite simple. It's the outer wall of the cell that basically protects the cell from the outside environment. In a way, it controls what goes in and out of the cell. Think of it like the doors to a factory. Next on the list is the centrosome. Did I say that right?
Centrosome.
Now in this diagram, they only showed the centrosome, but what I want to talk about is the centriole.
Centrioles.
So basically, the centrosomes contain two centrioles inside of it. And until it's time for the centrioles to be used, the centrosome is where the centrioles stay. So they are not the same thing, it's just the centrosome is like a container for the centrioles. So most of you are probably asking, what do the centrioles do exactly? And actually, I will not be discussing that for this episode. Why? Because I can't be bothered. Why? Because the topic on centrioles actually appears again in mitosis and meiosis, which will be the third episode of this series, and I don't want to double up on info, so find out more information when that episode comes out. Okay, yep, that's all the organelles I've listed. Now going back to the topic on identifying the needs and requirements of a human cell. Well, it should be pretty obvious by now. Our body relies on us to make sure we have a diet that provides enough energy for our organelles to perform its function. Throughout this episode, I think I used words like most importantly, which is basically me implying that there are organelles that are more important than the others. But honestly, every organelle needs the others. Ribosomes needs the RNA because that's where they are located. The nucleolus produces ribosomes, so ribosomes obviously needs the nucleus. And the Golgi body obviously relies on the ribosomes, since its main function is to transfer proteins. And obviously, every organelle needs the mitochondria and the nucleus so that all organelles have energy to work and how they should work. And that's pretty much for organelles, and pretty much brings the end to our first episode, which was about the cell. Now, some of you may notice that throughout the episode, I was using a factory analogy to describe the functions of the organelles. And surprise, surprise, I was not the one who thought of that analogy. I actually got it from an online Prezi. I'll leave the link in descriptions just in case you want to check that out. Anyways, please understand that I didn't cover everything, which will probably be the case for the next couple of episodes as well. If you wish to go and do your own research on genetics, well then, good luck. Anyways, that's it for organelles. Next episode will be about DNA. So, this big science assessment that I'm working on. So, yeah, it was due yesterday.
That's not funny!
So I was given 5 weeks to work on it, and this video took me, like, pretty much all 5 of those weeks. Well, actually, the video itself took, like, 3 days, but I procrastinated way too much. Anyways, this assessment is, like I said, was due yesterday, and I have to get this done by at least Monday or Sunday. And I still have 3 more videos to make, so quick warning, the next 3 episodes may not be as good as this one.